Hello everyone, I'm Coach Casual and I have over 5 years of experience playing this game, so today I will be showing you the top 5 mistakes that people do that hold them back in endgames and how to fix them. So without further ado, let's get right into the roasting. Now, the biggest mistake that I see a lot of intermediate players do is not scouting through their code in endgame. Now this is really, and I mean really important, because if you don't do this then it's going to cause a lot of mistakes and it's going to lose you a lot of games. So when you are in a box like this, make sure that you're always scouting through your cone. Now, if Cone Freaks had been scouting through his cone right now, yeah, that's kind of ironic, but yeah, that's his name. But yeah, if he had been scouting through his cone, then he would have seen that this side is free. He would have seen the kid next to him. He would have seen the kid who is potentially going to hold him, and he would have been able to make rotates for every single situation and zone poo. But instead, he's just sitting blindly in his box like a good boy and just waiting for the zone to poo and eventually die. This brings us to the next mistake, and this is not Stalking. Now, you should really try to learn from Drake in this example, because he's probably the best stalker in the planet. In endgames, you should always try to follow the person in front of you who is rotating, because it will allow you to not get tagged if someone is potentially shooting at you. And it's also going to allow you to save builds, because you're just going to use your opponent's old builds when rotating. Now, when following someone, you should make sure that you're not shooting him before he gets in zone, because then he might stop and you just have to rotate on your own. And you don't want to rotate on your own, you'll be too lonely. So yeah, make sure you're not shooting the kid you're following. Instead of that, this absolute buffoon just sits in his box and misses the timing, so now he's going to be forced to rotate on his own and potentially get beamed on. A pretty big mistake that a lot of intermediate players do is shooting everyone when rotating. This is really bad because a lot of people will actually turn back and try to shoot you back. In this case, that's exactly what's about to happen. Now, first he gets a beam on his opponent, and this is a totally useless beam because he's definitely not going to chase his opponent and he has everything. So by doing that, he's just provoking someone to shoot him in return. And now that's exactly what's about to happen, and this player is going to prove that his name is correct. Because of this greediness, he actually loses 80 HP and is going to be forced to pop a cola. And that's half of his shields gone in an instant because he's stupid. So to avoid doing that in your games, make sure that you follow this row of doom. Don't grief others if it's going to grief yourself. That's the biggest fundamental in Fortnite. One of the biggest mistakes that a lot of players do is not knowing when to go for refreshes and how to go for refreshes. Now in this game you can see Mario, who has 30 builds, and this is kind of the time where you want to go for a refresh, 20 to 30 builds, and because here you can actually make plays. And if you have any less builds, then you can't really go for anything, your chances to get a refresh are much smaller. So what you should do here is drop down to low ground front side and look back for a refresh while using a lot of his mods to create space. But look what he does, he tries to stay on a high layer. And now high layers are very good for when you're stacked, but they're actually really bad for when you don't have a lot of mats. Now that's the case because when you don't have a lot of mats and you're on a high layer, the chances of you getting focused are much higher, because on high layers people are usually much more stacked. So yeah, as he said, what he should have done is just drop on a low layer and look for a refresh, and he would have definitely found an opportunity for one. He wasn't able to get a refresh back then, however he's still in the game and has 10 more builds. So when you have 10 builds and you're in a position like this, you should definitely drop frontside low grounds, as that way you're going to be cutting the whole lobby off when you have 1, 2, 3, 4 people that you can get a refresh on. And in these situations, the most important thing to remember is to not be scared of 50-50, because you don't really have the opportunity to be going for safe plays. So if you are in this situation, just go low ground, frontside, that's the best spot to be, and get a refresh. Guys, welcome to the 4th episode of Stupid People Doing Stupid Things. In this clip you can see Marshall guy, the guy that we're both reviewing, doing something really smart. Now the zone just opened and he has a completely free rotate because circle is like around here. Now what do you think that this guy should do? Well, if you said that he has to insta crash pad and just rotate you over there, you'd be completely right. But if you were an intermediate player, you would say, okay, I'll just wait here and I'll just go late because I have 2 brain cells. Yeah, this is not good. So tip that I'm trying to tell you is that if you can go early, then go early. Please don't wait for some miracle to happen. Just go early and get a good positioning. Now, if he went here right now, then he'd have a pretty good position with an ability to refarm his mats and be completely fine. But instead what happens is that there's already a new kid boxed up on the spot that I doubt about who actually refarmed the mats. And by the way, this kid actually wins the game. So yeah, he kind of knows what he's doing. He has, you know, at least $100 earned. That's a really huge achievement. Not really. And there's also another kid who is going to hold him. Now here, these kids could have sprayed out his crash pad, and he just made his rotates more scuffed and also his ability to refarm much more limited. So because of that, right now, instead of having like the same mazes he had, when he makes that rotate, he could get beamed by everyone who's already in zone looking at people who are not in zone. Or in the best scenario, he's just going to lose at least 20 of his builds. And just like I said, he lost 20 HP and a lot of builds. So always listen to Coach Casual because he's always telling the truth. Without further ado, let's get to the next example of people being idiots. Okay, luckily I still have some more friends that I can roast in these videos. I mean, I probably won't have anyone after this video, but as a wise man once said, even though I don't remember his name, worry about the now, not about the past and the future. So anyways, the mistake that I'm going to talk about is forcing a rotate. And this is actually a pretty big mistake, and it concerns even advanced players. This guy has like 700 PR, and yeah, he made a mistake. And a lot of other players do, so listen closely. Now here he actually finds the most optimal rotate, and that's to go in the middle because that is essentially a line between the congestion and the dead side, and it is the freest rotate that he can possibly get right now. But the mistake that he does is forcing his rotate. Now what he should do here is just box up and wait, because he knows there's a lot of people behind him. So he should just wait for them to just go in front of him, because right now out of the other kids are behind him and they heard him rotating, so they're going to try to follow him. And people are dumb, and because of that they're just going to tag you the moment they see you. And that's the mistake that I talked about, but they haven't watched my videos or they're stupid, and because of that they're going to grief you. Now you can't really rely on other people being smart, so you should just focus on what you can do yourself, and that is to box up. He doesn't do that, so he gets instantly punished for 50 HP, and that's a third of his shields gone. Now here, he should not continue with his rotate, and this is actually a pretty big misunderstanding alongside players, and it's that you should always try to follow your timing. And this is true, but not in this situation, because here there is absolutely no one who can hold him. Well, maybe except this kid, but he has to rotate as well, so he doesn't really have to worry about getting held in zone. So if he just makes a box, heals up, scouts a bit more for a rotate, then he'll be completely chilling, but instead he forces the rotates again. And because of that, he actually tunnel visions, doesn't see the kid who's next to him, and gets hit for a lot of damage. Because of that, he completely sells his game and just ruins his chances of winning. I want to notice how in all of these clips the player didn't die at the moment of making the mistake, even though it was definitely a really big mistake. This is a really popular myth in Fortnite. People tend to think that if you make a rotate and you're still alive, then the game is going on. But in fact, if you want to win a game, then you have to focus on making that same rotate. You need to make that rotate with losing as little as possible. I guess that's all I have for today. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, because 95% of you aren't subscribed to my channel, and this is just criminal. So yeah, please change that. I don't want to be setting records in that. If you want free coaching, then join my Discord server. We're hosting a Zoners tournament really soon. So yeah, that's all I have for today. Goodbye.